Hey, 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 how's everybody doing tonight? Thank you so much for being here on TNN. It's been a while, and I'm really excited that you're here because this is a really difficult time for so many people. And I have a special guest tonight. I've got my friend Josh Gumbiner, and he's really interesting. And I thought it'd be a great perspective to have a man, a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, consultant on to talk about the male perspective as to the struggles that so many of us are experiencing here at the holiday season. So welcome, Josh, to the show.
Thanks, Tana, for having me. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Well, thank you for being here because I do know that your perspective is going to be much appreciated. A lot of the viewers hear from me and they hear the motherly side, the nurturing side, the super positive, life is rainbows and unicorns, because that's my life. And I'm very blessed and grateful and keep want to keep attracting that. So I'm not going to ever dismiss that, but that is my life. And when I met you, I was really interested in your perspective to the viewers and to the world. The struggles that you have experienced in being an entrepreneur and the emotions that you have felt when you felt like a failure as a father and as a husband, and how society sort of pigeonholes us into feeling like, the father's got to be the breadwinner and he's got to provide, he's got to make Christmas great. And if he doesn't, then somebody's failed. And I just want to change that perception, that perspective, and really that mindset. So thank you for being open and honest with me before the show and what you're going to do for the viewers going forward.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the time to come out here and just talk to people. I don't think people understand how closely related everyone really is. I think we all have the same struggles that nobody talks about.
I couldn't agree with you more. And this is a very difficult time. I have a friend who reached out to me and he's told me that he has a family member that's actually not doing well, almost committed suicide. And that's very, very sad. And just to think that, this is supposed to be such a joyous time, but this is a hard time for a lot of people. A lot of people have lost loved ones around this holiday season, or the holiday season, and it brings back memories and it's triggering a lot of people for the hurt and for the pain. And for that, I'm so sorry. And that I never have experienced around the holiday season. So the holiday season is a great reason to celebrate, I believe, blessings and health and wealth and family and church and the reason for the season. Even though I did hear that my church might be doing like car service for our candlelight church service that we've been going to for 20 years. And so I don't even know what that's going to look like. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how this all progresses. What matters is we are here tonight and we are hoping to change some lives and help some people. Right, Josh?
Exactly.
So I want to say, if you want to, put in the comments any questions, suggestions you may have. We'd love to touch upon them. If not, please always remember to like the page and to share the video because we are stronger together. And I think that we can touch a lot more lives if we get a little larger reach. So thank you in advance for doing that.
Yeah, we're always here for you. Feel free to reach out after we're done if you don't want to reach out while we're live.
Perfect. Thank you for that. The thing I love about how we connected is you just reached out and you were like, listen, I want to have this podcast and I'd love to have you be a guest, but your podcast wasn't up and running just yet. And I was like, well, I have an idea. I have a show called TNN. Sometimes my internet works, sometimes it doesn't. No, I'm just kidding. And I'd love to have you on because what I loved hearing about from you, the first initial meeting, was that you're a dad and you're a husband, and you also, like me, love those titles. I love being a mom and a wife. And you had expressed to me some of your struggles that you have had being a dad and a husband when I was sharing with you about the holiday season and how stressful these times are. And so I was hoping that what we could do is shed some light on the people that are watching, what they can do to overcome just the mindset of the pressures that we experience. And so, as our title mentions, is what's under the tree killing you? And I don't mean physically really killing you, but it could be. Some of the people that I coach have shared with me that, they're living with severe depression, major anxiety, because they can't provide and they can't put presents under the tree because times are tough financially. And so could you share with the audience, like, what it's been like being a dad and kind of feeling like your ego was wrapped up on what's underneath the tree?
Yeah, most definitely. So, that's kind of a story all in itself. So COVID hit effectively in March. We know that it was probably around beforehand, but effectively it started taking the economy down in March. And so that actually hit our business as well. We have owned a business in Iowa for 8 years, and we were property management. And so during the first 6 months of COVID, we watched our revenues decline drastically. Something that, to be honest, from just a regular business owner, I never planned on a continuity situation for business like COVID. I had plans for everything else. I
Right.
mean, theft of equipment, fire in a building, natural disaster, short-term disability, things like that, you name it. There's continuity business plans, keep it going. And COVID was not one of them. So the revenue declined over 80%. Drastically, very quickly. We served, the public and private sectors. As you know, homeowners were hit very hard. So with that said, what happened was we went from, maybe living kind of we were living a good life, nothing, that was extraordinary by any means. We could pay our bills very easily. If you wanted to go out to eat a couple times a week, you could, something like that, a casual, great life. Gas in the car, no problem, all of it.
Right.
To all of a sudden 10 years or, almost 10 years of savings is really coming into play now. And so that happened for about 9 months. And so during that time, the regular physical, attributes that we get as a human started happening. Depression sets in, you start doubting yourself. And what it really comes down to is, me personally, what it was I'm letting my family down, because I've got 3 people here that look for me to support their life, just really at the basic, they look to me to support their life. Roof over the head, lights, water, basic necessities. And so, when negative things started happening in business, the stress at home picked up. Why? Well, because I'm not the only one participating at home.
Right.
Katie is as well. And sometimes I think that I myself, forget that. And I know that when talking to other people, that's a common theme. And so now we've got COVID related issues, financial issues, things like that. And so what happens is the toll gets taken, and you start, having little arguments and disagreements, and you have to say, okay, I'm sorry I messed up there. Here's why I felt this way. And it all kind of revolves around the same thing. So now you got the Christmas season coming. And some great things happen for us, to be honest. Not just in business, we have a lot of potential coming up that I'm very excited about, but that's 90 days plus away. I mean, that's just the nature of this business. But a business partner I've had for the last 9 months had a real conversation with me, and it was a friend conversation. It wasn't what's on the agenda today. And it was, is Santa Claus coming to the Gumbiner home this year?
Oh,
And-
no.
Yeah. And you know what? It was, you brought up something to me before. You said somebody asked you a question, you were on a show, and it just hit you, and you're like, I don't have an answer for that, right?
Yes.
It was that. So his name's Adam Selkin. He's the owner of Sleep 3 Consulting. And he goes, we're having regular conversations, and then he springs at me. Is the Santa Claus coming to the Gumbiner home this year? And I said, well, he's coming, but not like he's ever came before. It's few and far between. And so what happened was, you know, for you and I,
Oh, we can hear
uh,
you.
before you and I had our in-depth conversations, it was the value of the gift. It
Yes.
was, it
So
was,
true. Touch on
what
that
was
tip.
weighing on me was, okay, I haven't been financially fit where I wanted to be fit this year, these quarters. And then all of a sudden, the biggest day of the year for a gift giver, right? And so, the biggest thing for me in my heart when I wake up was I'd like my children to have something to open because they get the thrill of the open, right? It doesn't matter what it is right now. They love having just a lot of things to tear apart.
Absolutely. And that's
Yeah.
the thing is, a lot of fathers feel the pressure of needing to have all those gifts. I mean, a lot of mothers do too. I know when I was a single parent, I felt that pressure because I was the mom and the dad. I was, Santa Claus. And it's very stressful when the money's not coming in. And so a lot of people watching are going into debt, are struggling, are having fights with their significant others or their spouses because they don't have the money to put the presents under the tree. But what I want people watching to maybe realize is it's the way you frame it. I have tried really, really, really hard to frame Christmas and gifts to my children that those gifts under the tree don't represent my love for you. My love for you is 365 days a year.
Yeah.
My acts of kindness and my acts of service and all those things that I do every single day are how I show you that every day is Christmas. And yet, I mean, that's great. That's how I frame it in my mind, but that's not how my 22-year-old daughter frames it. She loves Christmas. She loves opening presents and she wants presents. And I don't want to go out and have to guilt buy
Yeah.
because I cannot stand to shop, period. I absolutely hate to shop. The only shopping I like to do is grocery shopping. So to drag
Amazon?
no, I hate
Am-
I hate online shopping. I bought one thing on Amazon.
Mhm.
And that was because I was an influencer and they asked
Yeah.
me to buy the product and they reimbursed me.
Yeah.
However, I don't shop online. I don't like to shop at all. And so I feel like that there's guilt in now running out and buying gifts just so that I can have them underneath the tree. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, a lot of parents are experiencing that. And so I want to say that I really think that the gift giving and the expectation happens at home. And if you, like tell my husband, and I don't know how you and Katie do it, but I tell Curtis, please don't buy me anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I need. Do you guys exchange gifts?
So that's a yes and no, right? That's a yes if the situation is fit for it. Now the conversation is really easy. It's kind of that, yeah, don't get me something. It's, I understand that you can't get something right now because, so in the last 10 years of being an entrepreneur, what I found out very quickly, and I say quickly, but like the first 3 years or so of business is that, the side that people don't know of business if they're a W-2 is that business kind of tends to come in waves. You have your ups and your downs and it goes quarter to quarter and you might have a great quarter and a bad quarter, or you might have a half of a great quarter,
Yes.
And so for the first few years of being an entrepreneur, I was very cautious of my bank account. I just looked multiple times a day, just,
Really?
the anxiety was through the roof. Can I afford this? But I need it for business. And just do it, just buy it, just get by was the mentality because of the greater good.
Mhm.
Yeah. So to answer that, it's a yes and no. Right now it's a no. And we both have had that talk of, I'm sorry, I can't. And we both understand that we're okay with that because really, truly at the end of the day, we know that it's not a gift thing. It's just us. It's our family. We're in it together. And
Right.
when the good times come, the good times come. I mean, we all partake. It's not the good times come because Josh is in the business role. He brings the financial fitness to the home. No, it's, well, Katie's here. She's a part of that system that allows me to do that because even today, for whatever reason, wasn't a really empty day for a while. And then all of a sudden just emails and everything were coming in. And I got stacked, and she had an appointment to go to today. And she's like, hey, don't make me late to that appointment. I was like, I won't. I promise. I have everything scheduled. It's fine. And she didn't get to go because I got home and there wasn't enough time to get there. And she called and said, hey, can I be 10 minutes, 15 minutes late? They said, no, you can't. You got to reschedule.
Oh man, that's
And yeah. And so,
the letdown.
yeah. So I show that because like there's real negatives to the positives. And
Yeah.
so I think that's why we don't have some idea that this gift means that I love you or care for you, or, so we're okay with it. But that doesn't mean to say that as the season approaches or even the days get near, that there's times during the day that you probably, like everyone else, I mean, I do, you kick yourself, gosh, I really wanted to buy something for these guys. Why? Because, it does, I feel like, right, show that you care, but in all reality, it's not. But
it's a commercialized holiday that we need to peel it back and be grateful that we have a savior, and our sins are going to be forgiven, and we've been shown grace, and we all forget the reason for the season. And it made me think of when I met you. I had just recently coached this gentleman who was a wonderful man. And he shared with me that he is in serious financial strain, very bad debt. And we were talking about leading up to the holidays and what he was going to do. And he says, I'm going to do what I do every year. And I thought, he has this magic plan and I want to hear what it is. And he's like, I'm going to go into debt. I'm going to max out my credit cards. I'm going to go into debt. I'm going to lie to my wife and my kids. I'm going to put on a happy face, and I'm a fraud. And I said, oh man, don't call yourself a fraud. Like, that's a really negative term. And he goes, well, Tana, that's what I am.
Yeah.
I can't afford these gifts that are under the tree, but my kids don't know I'm broke. And I'm like, well, why don't you have that conversation? Like, why are you not feeling like you can be honest with your family and let them know that, times are tough? And he says that's not in his deck of cards, and that his wife wouldn't understand, which, can you imagine that as a man?
Guilt. I mean, the guilt is real.
Can you imagine that?
I think that, so from my standpoint as a business owner, this is kind of crazy because I had some of these thoughts the other day, is that, when the chips fall, right? God forbid they do, but everyone knows the day comes the chips fall. And that's why you continue to evolve in business. You are always on the forefront of something because, no business is forever. So when the chips fell, how is it received? Are you going to have a problem at home because you're not having a real relationship and someone's there for your monetary value? Because if that's the case, that's not where you want to be anyway. And well, sorry, you're in that situation.
Yeah, that's
you'll figure it out very shortly. But in the real relationship, I think when the chips fall and the other party, man or woman, whoever vice versa roles, it doesn't matter. When the chips fall, I think the people see that and they sympathize with it. I mean, they're in it together, but I think that they're understanding of what's happening. Now, the guilt that comes in, I've been there, sometimes even recently, because you work so hard not to just provide a lifestyle for yourself that you're like, wow, this is great, I'm comfortable. You have now conditioned your family, your children,
and
your husband or wife.
He said that they're conditioned to having nice things and having, the gifts. And I said, I think it needs to be a conversation so I had to explain to him that at the end of the day, your family loves you and they want you to be happy. And so it's how you portray this and project this. It's okay to let your kids down. I know that a lot of people know that, I'm a full-time mom and that's my favorite title. However, it's okay to let my children down. Now, I haven't recently, thank goodness, but let's say that I had to this holiday season, I would just sit them down and explain the situation. And if I haven't raised my children well enough to understand that what's under the tree doesn't show my love, then I've failed. I have not done my job, and there's more work to do in the home. And so I've told him, I said, the way you frame it is just that we're blessed that we have food in the refrigerator, and that we have a home that is warm, and that we have a bed to sleep on. Like, let's peel it down to the basic necessities.
Because that's where you're at once the chips start to fall.
Right. And I said,
when there's no more business at the end of the day, you're there with your family. And what matters is, are you eating? Are you warm?
Right.
Do you have water?
Right. I mean, we have all gotten really, really spoiled that the holidays are about, like, not only is my daughter putting the pressure that she wants gifts and that she wants the house immaculately decorated, but now the cat, my beautiful cat that we got, my COVID cat, now the cat needs gifts. For goodness sakes. Where does it end? I haven't even gotten the cat a stocking.
They can't get left out.
The cat's now going to get left out, and that can't happen. And so it's like, it's a domino effect that, I have to put my foot down and just say enough. Like, I understand that you love the holidays and you love all of this.
Yeah.
But what I love is you. And as your mother, I need to tell you that, like, this is what we need to be concentrating on. We're going to have a wonderful meal. You're going to have gifts. We're going to show our love. We do that every single day of the year. And let's peel it back that the anxiety is through the roof. The depression is off the charts. There are friends of mine that work in suicide prevention hotlines, and they said, Tana, you can't believe what's going on.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
With COVID, and how many people are losing jobs, have lost revenue, have lost loved ones, have lost relationships. It's a very, very trying time. And the last thing we want to have people do is adding to the stress level. Yeah. And so for everybody watching, I just hope that Josh and I can be a light in letting you know that he knows what it's like to be a dad and struggle and not be able to provide what, he wants as a father. I know what it's like to not want to go and do it. On a different perspective, I don't enjoy it. And so why should I go run around at the malls just to fight the crowds to please my kids and put a gift under the tree that I really don't want to do? What I want to do is cook and bake and entertain and have parties for them and their friends. Those things that are just simple and that show my love. And so I think it's how we frame ourselves and frame our perspective. And we just look at it like, look at the relationship that you and I just built. Yeah. That's valuable. That's immeasurable. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's a gift. Don't you think?
I completely agree. I mean, the simplest, I get told all the time, keep it simple, right? I'm a thinker, I guess. Maybe overthinker.
Yeah, you're like my husband.
Yeah, probably. I think it through 3 times, Yeah, and Katie gets on me sometimes about it too. But I think that, I don't know. I think the holiday season is just really hard, and the guilt that gets put on people and what it does to families. I mean, in a regular year is tough enough. I mean, but now, with COVID and the restrictions that we have, the gathering numbers that we have, and things that are in place for safety, really take away some of the advantage of happiness for some people that they had. Yeah. Right. And then, you do compound the job loss. Right. And actually, truly, you brought up kind of a good point with job loss. I mean, we're in a changing nation right now. We're in a changing business landscape right now. There are jobs that just simply won't come back because they're being automated in one way, shape, or form, or eliminated altogether. And so, there are some real situations for people that are going to be had over these next 30 days. I mean, you've got a moratorium that's ending, and changing of the guard, so to speak, for the president, and just a whole list of things that put these anxieties on people. And so right now, I think with the Christmas season just shortly away, I think it's probably a hard time for a lot of people.
It is. And we just hope that people can reach out. I know that we'll have your link. your website where people can reach out to you if they want more information as to asking you anything personal from a dad, business owner, consultant.
Of course. Yeah.
They can reach out to you. People can reach out to me. They know every avenue imaginable, because at the end of the day, if you can just have those hard conversations, or the conversations that really just need to be discussed with your loved ones, I really think everything starts with communication and being honest. And I've always been the type of mother and wife and business owner and friend that just lays it all out. Like I tell my best friends, don't buy me gifts because I don't want to buy you gifts.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, we're just exchanging $20 bill, $50 bill, whatever we're spending on one another. Does that make sense? And I'm very grateful that my mother and father raised us in a family that wasn't all about the gifts. My mother and dad didn't really buy each other gifts. We had 5 children. We all got gifts. Christmas was a good time. They didn't insist that I bought my other 4 siblings gifts and that they went out and bought the other 4. I mean, that's insanity. Yeah. It's insanity.
I think now more than ever, I mean, it's easy to find the love in it. Why? Because, if you think about it, really, the harsh reality with COVID is if you're losing a loved one, not very many people are around them at the end of the day, right? And that's just a fact that we're dealing with currently. And so if you have the opportunity, even though it's the basic opportunity, if you have the opportunity to be around the ones that are around you day in and day out, through the ups and the downs, that's what love is, and that's what Christmas is. I mean, religious beliefs, to each their own, sections and things like that involved as well. That's what it is. That's nothing more, nothing less, because at the end of the day, the same people that are there on or before Christmas will hopefully be there after Christmas too. I mean, that's, they're there because they care. And
I agree with you. And
the communication is key.
And they are there and they do love you. And I have a sister, Tiffany, who loves gifts. She loves shopping. She is the best gift giver. So for the people watching who do love Christmas and that love to shop and love to pick out the perfect gift, God bless you. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, we're not bashing you. You're great.
Keep doing it.
Get out there and shopping spree.
Yeah, shop. Buy me gifts. No.
Yeah, right.
I'm kidding. Buy your loved ones what they want and enjoy that, because that's where you get your love and your benefits and you get your happiness. I think that it's great. It's just, I wanted to bring you on to touch upon the dads that are struggling. This man that I'm coaching who feels like a failure, who can't be honest with his wife, a woman he lays down in bed next to every single night. She doesn't know he's like $40,000 in debt. It's sad.
That's a hard road. I mean, that is a hard road, because it stems back to communication. Like you said, feel free to reach out to either one of us. I mean, I think we both are kind of the same. We enjoy the fun and carefree mentality and kind of laid back persona. But at the end of the day, we're results driven as well. Right. Yeah. So we can do that and have fun, but at the same time but don't mess up. We want the result. And so feel free to reach out, because truly, if you're watching us and you're sitting there going, my gosh, that's me, don't let it be you. Reach out. If it takes 5 or 10 minutes to just tell you that, hey, you got to refocus your priorities and see what matters most. And it takes a third party to tell you that, reach out. Yeah. We'll tell you that. I'll tell you that, because if you're going to say, hey, I'm going to go into debt when I have these bills to pay, but man, my family really wants this. Well, they don't need it. And here's why they don't need it. Here's what they need from you.
So true. Well, and you made me, when you were speaking, you made me think of a friend of mine who he's struggling, another guy, and he doesn't really even have a home, to be quite honest with you. And he's living in a vehicle, and he probably doesn't have a Christmas meal. And if he were to reach out to me and say, hey, Tana, what are you doing for the holidays? I would invite him to Iowa. I'd open up my home. He could live in my basement, for the holidays, and I'd cook for him. And so it goes back to that just ask. But a lot of people, and I don't mean to generalize, Josh, but a lot of men, I think, are too prideful to ask, could could I come and spend
Yeah.
some time with you or eat, have you feed me? And really it goes back to that. It's just as simple as an ask.
It's are you going to stop and ask for directions yet? You
Yeah.
know, it's that mentality. I
Right.
mean,
I
it's just
know.
2020. It's different. That's all. It's the same mentality.
Well, but I guess admitting that they don't have a meal and they don't really have
Yeah.
a warm bed
Yeah.
is hard, right? For a man to ask. I know as a woman, if I were in his shoes, I would be able to ask and I'd reach out to friends and be like, hey, if you and your family aren't doing much, is there any way I could come and hang out? I would, because I'm okay with asking. But I think that men are a little bit more shy.
Do you think that society plays a part in that? As in, like, I mean, because I know that if I was there and if I was completely down and out, I'm sure that I would have a moment of embarrassment or something, because, to be honest, when I left the W-2 workforce, I don't think people want you to fail. That's not it. But the questions that they ask that they don't know affect you in a certain way that are being asked. So they'll ask, what are you going to do if your business, stops? Well, that's okay. But to me, that's borderline. Like, I'm not in it for it to stop. I'm
No,
right.
right.
You know what I mean? And then the questions get deeper and so, yeah, I don't know.
I
I
think
think
society
society plays a big part in the embarrassment.
I think society does, and society says men need to be the stronger one, and by being vulnerable and sending a text to say you or I or anybody watching, a friend of somebody, to just say, "Hey, you got room at the table for me."
Yeah.
That's a hard ask, and I just hope that we can help people watching realize if you're hurting,
Yep.
just ask somebody, because there's so many people that would help. in
Mental health awareness is real. Now more than ever. I mean, look at the state of our union, the world.
No.
Mental health awareness is real. If you need to reach out to people, do it.
Right.
There's a song by Matt Keenan, I believe. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but it's called "The Call." You may or may not have ever heard it. It's a country song, and the very first opening is a guy sitting in an older pickup truck, and he's contemplating suicide, and there's a gun, and his phone rings, and it's his friend saying, hey, we're all going to go out this weekend, and there's a girl that you were talking to, and she's really excited to see you. And yeah, and so it changed this guy's demeanor. He backed off from the decision that he was going to do. And obviously the sadness and everything's involved. I mean, it's an emotional moment, and
Oh,
that's
wow.
what the song's about, is those communication parts that we miss, that when they happen, they link two sides together, that it's just an amazing
It's
feeling. It's good. It's love. It's caring. But we we have a problem bridging the gap.
We do. And it's beautiful. When you described all that, it just sounded to me so beautiful. And so I think a great conclusion to our Facebook Live is, if you're out there and you're struggling, you need a friend, you need a warm bed, you need a warm meal, good meal, reach out to somebody in your phone right now. It's what, is it the 15th or the 16th? It's the
16th. Yeah.
16th.
Yeah.
It's the 16th. In 9 days, it's Christmas. In 8 days, it's Christmas Eve. Nobody should be alone. And if I'm a friend of yours, definitely reach out to me, because I want to make the world a better place, as I know you do, Josh.
Yep.
And
People want to see you,
and people want to help too, and people love people. And I know that we're in a really trying time, and I'm in the middle of a lot of that, just because I worked so hard for 2 years to help our president do such great things, and that's still in such limbo.
Yep.
And there's a lot of anxiety for the world, but I want to push all that aside and just say, concentrate on what's happening in your home, your family, your loved ones, your extended family, and do something this season that stretches you and that makes this world a better place, because we surely all could use it, and we all have been given so much. Maybe you've been given a big, huge home with a lot of extra bedrooms. And I've been given the gift to be able to cook and to make great meals and keep my house, flourishing with food and nourishment. And if somebody watching's been gifted with finances, help people.
Yep.
Help
Definitely.
people that are hungry. And there's a lot that we can be doing. And I just want to say, Josh, your perspective from a man's side is welcomed and was appreciated, because I can only touch upon me as a woman, a wife, a mother, how I feel. But you've experienced some unique struggles that are really helpful at this time of the year. And I really want to thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think to sum it up, the best thing I could tell someone would be take the 24th, 25th, 23rd, 24th, and 25th. And if you don't find yourself on the right side of our situation right now, whether it's finances or any of it, if you're in the opposite position, just find a way to forget about that phone call that comes, the collector for the vehicle, you got to forget about that phone call for a day. I'm not telling you don't pay your bills. That's not what I'm saying, but find a way to just take a good breath, forget about the light bill that's due, forget about the phone bill you can't pay, and really just remember what matters. Family that's around you, the friends that are around you, and that's it.
Oh, that's great advice. And if you don't have family around you or friends around you, like Josh just suggested, then start going through your phone and reaching out to some of your contacts, because we are all just one message. Josh messaged me on Instagram, and look at us now. You're one phone call, you're one message, you're one bumping into somebody at a grocery store, from asking if you can spend some time with somebody, and then having a new perspective and a new outlook on life. And then you can get back to reality. And hopefully 2020 is going to be a better year for a lot of us. But Josh, I want to say thank you so much for being a guest on TNN.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And Merry Christmas to you and your entire family. And God bless you and your family. And
as well, tell Curtis
here for
keep doing the lives. We're going to keep following.
Yes, I will, for sure.
Right.
He'll be tracking Santa Claus soon.
Yes. I'll have my kids watching.
Yes, please do. And I just want to say thank you to Paul and John for helping us on TNN. Can't do it without you.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. So there was one question that came in from Dane, which what about comparing others' success to your own failures?
Ooh.
And
that's a really good question. I touched on that in a session this week.
Wow. That's a great thank you, Paul, for bringing that up.
Yeah.
And a great question, Dane. Josh, do you want to touch upon that? Because you've experienced.
I'd love to.
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I've kind of been there myself, to be honest. Have we all not? I think that it comes down to we're all in this world seemingly by ourselves. It's a team effort. So don't compare yourself to others and what they've done, because you see it every day right now. People are always doing the next best thing. Look at Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Who's he comparing himself to? Nobody. This guy is creating. So if you think of it in that mindset that you're a creator, you're the driver of the bus, you're the one that makes the decisions. You don't have to be the smartest person. It's about who you surround yourself with, but it's not a comparative race.
Well, and I know Dane well, Josh, so let me share with you a little bit. So Dane has been at it for years, decades. And Dane has witnessed people like myself who everything we touch turns to gold. And he sees other people that are getting lucky, that seem to always get their break and that always win, that don't deserve it. Not me, but other people. I know who Dane's experienced.
Sure.
And so he's sitting there going, when is it going to be my turn? When do I get the luck? When does the luck change for me that I can now be the one that people look up to? So he's at a different spectrum. He would be not on an Elon Musk spectrum, but a spectrum where he's hustling every day and he's working and he's barely making it. And he's struggling.
I would say that it's hard to, Brandon mentioned something a few weeks back that kind of stuck with me. So to me, it's hard to compare with others, right? Because realistically, it's a skill set, right? And we all work at it. And I think that, so for the gentleman that you're speaking of, I think that it is hard emotionally to be around others that are doing well. And I can use a real life example with someone I'm working with right now. He was in a partnership for 15 some odd years. And, the partnership was successful. Well, then when he left, it became super successful, and he missed out on some opportunities that are just astronomical wealth. And so, there's, when I hear it from him, right, you can kind of hear it in the voice, right? Yeah. Oh, that was a bad decision. And so I think that it's hard to say that we learn from our mistakes or we learn from people's wrongdoings or everything like that, but we do. And I just think it's a matter of time. And so I think how you set yourself up, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that's okay. Well, you just keep playing the game and not let yourself succumb to the emotional side.
And I do agree with you. And I know Dane is very positive. Dane also is very emotional. And he'd go to bat for you or for me or for anybody, that's just who he is. And Dane's been working hard at it. And I he said, comparing yourself to others when all you see are your failures. And I hate that Dane sees himself as a failure, because Dane, you're not a failure, because I'm your friend and you're valuable to me. And Dane, you know how busy I've been, and I stopped everything to spend time with you. So if that doesn't tell you that you're a winner and that you're loved and you're appreciated, you know how busy I've been, and I will drop everything to spend time with you. So you're no failure, because I don't associate with failures. I look at you like you are a go-getter. You're passionate, you're kind, you're a huge patriot, and I'm forever grateful for you. So I think it's the way we're going to frame. I would like you to reframe the way you visualize and think of yourself, because as Josh mentioned, maybe it's just not your time yet, but your time is coming, because you're well past due. I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
Think strategically about it, and it doesn't have to be some grander idea, just right. Think, okay, we always want to push the needle forward. We always want to continue our momentum forward, because momentum, just like in a vehicle or anything else, when you see what it does. And so if you take a few seconds to kind of methodically plan out what you're doing, make strategic relationships, that comes back to the ask. Definitely. You may have accidentally made strategic relationships. I have in the last 9 months, accidentally in a few places.
Yes.
And some wild things are coming. I mean, we kind of touched on that, but some wild things are happening. And so I think that you take yourself, because with what I hear is I'm not being rewarded for my time. Well, I see everyone's success and I'm not feeling the reward.
And that's very true with him.
There was Eric Thomas. I like Eric Thomas. We all need somebody who gives us motivation, and he's a motivational speaker. I've never talked to him in person, but I watch his videos. And he talks about pain, right? And why are you giving up? You're already in pain. Get your prize. Do that. Don't give up. Wake up every day with the same mentality of, I'm going to keep on keeping on. I'm going, because there is a prize somewhere, some way, somehow it's there. I'm going to get it.
Definitely.
Doesn't matter that you fall, because falling, you can get back up. Failing is not an option.
Right. And
failing is you giving up, and you go back and find a job somewhere and you're just, I gave up. I quit. I'm sorry. I'm done. That's not an option.
Yeah. Well, Dane's a fighter, and Dane, you know I love you, so you just keep
I
hanging
wish
in
the
there,
best for
buddy.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Josh. I appreciate you giving that man's perspective on that. Well, I want to say thank you all for being here. If you wouldn't mind, please sharing the post. There's a lot of people that could use some of the valuable information that we shared tonight, especially just how you frame your mind and how you communicate with your family to let them know that you're doing the best you can. And please do not ever let what's underneath the Christmas tree determine your value, your worth, and don't let it distract you, get you down, and create mad anxiety and or depression. Because at the end of the day, your family loves you. And if you got nobody else, you always got me. So I want
That's
to thank
right.
Josh for being my guest. And I want to thank Paul and John for helping us out behind the scenes. And I wish you all the best of the holiday season. Stay connected. There'll be many more to come. And we hope you have a great night. Take care.
Thanks, Tana.
Thank you.